declare war. War under the Lucas. Bulletproof jet planes, nigga, you can't shoot us. Can't stop my reign and terrorize the power. Tone stars who do king in his crime, y'all better cower. War.
I declare war. This video is in response to David Carroll's video entitled How Malcolm X Became a Coon. I've done a series of videos responding to David Carroll and Equacy 100. Instead of addressing my responses with a sound and logical reply to the issues raised, both of these guys completely changed the subject. And they changed the subject because they know that my arguments are impeccable. They know that my arguments cannot be debunked. They know that my arguments are sound and solid. So they try to change the subject. They duck and hide and run. And I want to respond to this video that they recently have done. Each one of them have done a video basically trying to attack what they label as pro-blacks. And I just have to respond to some of the assertions that they make in their videos. First, it's very important to understand the debating tactics used by David Carroll and even his student, Equacy 100. And really, I don't even pay Equacy much attention because, for the most part, this man can't even think an original thought. He acknowledges that he doesn't know much about politics. He doesn't know much about the law. So he really needs to quit speaking about things that he doesn't know about. He needs to stick to talking about choo-choo trains and boilers and about his problems with women. Those seem like things that he knows a little bit about. He needs to stay away from the political discussions and discussions about law because he obviously doesn't have a damn clue. And all he can do is parrot what his daddy, David Carroll, tells him to say and do. So he really needs to stay out of the conversation. But let me deal with David Carroll. It's important to understand that what this man does, his tactic is raising straw man arguments. That's when you mischaracterize your opponent's position. You mischaracterize it to such a point and to such a degree that it makes your opponent seem completely illogical. And once you have done so, it's easy to destroy an argument that you made up. An argument that the opponent didn't even assert. And that's exactly what David Carroll constantly does in his videos. And one such example is this. He said that anytime someone doesn't agree with him, or anytime someone doesn't agree with us, that we label them as a coon. That people like myself label anyone that doesn't agree with us a coon. First of all, that's not true. I disagree with many people about many issues, but that doesn't make them a quote-unquote coon or a sellout or anything like that. That just means that I have a difference of agreement on a particular issue. That issue could be about politics. It could be about philosophy or religion. It could be about a wide range of things, about the meaning of life, basic things like that. But because I disagree with them, it doesn't make them a sellout. It doesn't make them a quote-unquote coon or anything like that. It just means that I have a disagreement with someone. When I use those terms, like when I call somebody a traitor, when I call someone a sellout or Uncle Tom, I use those terms because that's exactly what they are. And in order to understand where we're coming from with this, it's important to understand the definitions. Let's look up the word Uncle Tom. And I know some people are going to talk about a fictional character from the book Uncle Tom's Cabin. And they're going to try to say, well, Uncle Tom was a hero and all that. But we understand that the way that term is used, it's not used to refer to a character from a story. It's used to describe a sellout. And I'm going to actually read from the dictionary. It says that an Uncle Tom is a black who is overeager to win the approval of whites. And it talks about how they are uncritical and they accept white values and goals. It goes on to say that our Uncle Tom is a member of a low status group who is overly subservient to or cooperative with authority. And that's exactly what David Carroll is. And that's why I use terms like Uncle Tom to describe him. Because this man repeatedly defends white racists. If that's not an Uncle Tom, I don't know what is. He defends bigots. He defends racists. This man did a video talking about why he respects the KKK, a terrorist organization. This man has done videos defending racists like Donald Sterling. This man has done videos and posted on Twitter defending people like George Zimmerman. This man defends people like Darren Wilson. This man defends anybody that does anything wrong to black people, anyone that kills black people, anyone that uses racial slurs against black people. Here comes this old tap dancing Captain Save a racist, David Carroll, defending these people. If that's not being subservient to white people, I don't know what is. This guy recently defended the racist movie Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation. He said that the maker of that movie was not racist. In fact, he referred to the makers of that film as being prophets. As being prophets. And we have to understand what this film was about. This film was basically a justification for the creation of the KKK, a terrorist organization, an organization that lynched black people, bombed black people, shot black people, beat back black people, terrorized black people. This Uncle Ruckus defended that film. This Uncle Ruckus talked about, again, how he respects the KKK. This Uncle Ruckus will defend any damn white racist that attacks black people verbally or physically. At the same time that this Uncle Ruckus defends white racist people, he attacks his own people. He calls his own people savages. He calls his own people apes. He calls his own people monkeys. He calls his own people shines. And he constantly refers to his people as you Negroes, as if he's not black. If that's not an Uncle Tom, I don't know what is an Uncle Tom. So calling him an Uncle Tom is not simply about him disagreeing with someone about a particular issue. It is a definition of who he is. If that's not subservience, when you constantly defend white people, when you have made that your niche here on YouTube, you have to be an Uncle Tom. That's the only word that can be used to describe you. Also, let's look at some other words, like traitor. A traitor is one who betrays another's trust or is false to an obligation or duty. One who commits treason. Again, one who betrays another's trust or is false to an obligation or duty. You have an obligation to stand with your people, to protect your people, just as a black person. You betray that obligation when you run to the very people who attack your people and you defend those people. That's an act of treason. That's the act of a traitor. That's the act of a damn coward. And that's what you are. It's not just about a mere disagreement. It's about your positions. Your positions make you a traitor. Your positions make you a sellout. Now let's look at some other definitions. Let's look at the definition of a sellout. To betray, this is what a sellout does. Betrays one's cause or associates. African Americans are your associates, and you constantly betray African Americans. Even on Twitter, you side with these racist damn devils on Twitter and on YouTube by referring to your own people as shines, by attacking your own people. So this is not, again, about a mere disagreement. It's about a definition. The definition has been laid out, and you meet every qualification for being a damn Uncle Tom, a damn traitor, a damn sellout. And I make no apologies for calling you those things, because that's exactly what you are. If you look up the definition of a duck and you see an animal that has those characteristics, when you call that animal a duck, you're just referring to it as what it is. And that's what I do when I refer to you as a damn sellout, as an Uncle Tom, as a modern day real life Uncle Ruckus. I mean, what kind of black man in his right mind would defend a film that justifies the KKK? I mean, what kind of black man in his right mind would defend the KKK and talk about how they respect the KKK, an organization that blew up little babies, that killed 4 girls in a church? Something's wrong with this Negro. He's lost his damn mind. Now, he went on to talk about how I have criticized him for having a lot of white supporters. And he used that as an argument against me. He said, well, Obama has white supporters. Why don't you attack Obama the way you attack me? And he tries to use that to say, well, it's wrong to judge him by who supports him and who follows him. I'm going to tell you why the race of the people is relevant. But before I do that, I just want to make this point. I don't object to white people on YouTube watching African-American videos or subscribing to African-American channels. This is a free country. You can do what you want. My problem is with white racists. I have a problem with white racists. I mean, if your channel is dedicated to talking about African-American issues, you have to ask yourself, why do you have so many white racist subscribers? And I believe that you know the answer to that question because you deliberately pander to these people. You know that that is your niche here on YouTube. You know that that is how you get views. And you know for a fact that many of your subscribers are racist white people. And the reason why that is the case, because your message of hatred, your message of self-hatred resonates with these white bigots. You have out and out white supremacists commenting and supporting your videos. That should cause you to want to reevaluate whatever message you're putting out here. And again, since you sympathize with these white supremacists, you probably would never even give that a second thought. You probably are glad that you have these white people, white racists, supporting your channel. So if your subject matter is about black people and then you got all these white racist subscribers, that tells you that again, your message is off. Your message is basically an echoing of white racist sentiment. You're nothing but a damn mouthpiece for these racist people. And they love to hear you speak because you echo their feelings and their sentiments. And it's just that simple. Now, your example about President Obama, I'm going to talk about that for a second. Of course, President Obama got elected as a result of white support. Nobody can deny that that's the case. And actually, the fact that he was elected speaks volumes about the positions that he has taken and about the statements that he has made. When he started to run for president, he had to downplay race. His whole career was launched by downplaying the issue of race in America, by talking about how we're all Americans and that there's no black America, no white America, and all that. So that's how he was able to gain all this white liberal support. And the fact that he is half white also made it easier for these white people to identify him. So yes, he did gain a lot of white support. And as a result of that, he had to downplay the issue of race in America. And that in and of itself speaks volumes. I mean, the fact that he had all this white support speaks volumes about the fact that he wasn't directly addressing the issues of African Americans the way he should have, the way he could have. If he did so, he probably would never be president. If he had a history of being a civil rights activist, for instance, or being very outspoken about issues of race, he probably would not have been elected. So that says one thing about his policies. And even today, I mean, although he's done, many great things that have, had an impact in the African American community, there's more that he could be doing. There's more that he should be doing. So even with Obama, I mean, the fact that he has that, support says a lot about his position on issues. It says a lot about his statements on issues. Many of us think that he hasn't done enough. And that's a fact. But let's be clear. I mean, the support that he receives is different from the support that you receive. Your support comes from white racists. His support comes from many liberals and progressives. The same people that support you are the same people that direct their racism towards the president. So that's my response on that issue. Now, you talked about how Malcolm X should be considered a coon by the standards that you've set, like by the standard of not agreeing with, since he didn't agree with the traditional civil rights movement, and that since he did not support the March on Washington, that we should essentially label him as a coon for taking those positions. And this is what I'm going to say about that. First of all, there are different ways to engage in the struggle for black liberation. We don't all have to agree on every single issue, but we do have to agree on one thing, and that's the love of our people. The sincere desire to see the condition of our people improve. Now, although Malcolm X didn't agree with the civil rights movement, his love for black people is unquestionable. It is beyond reproach. His record for loving and fighting for black people is impeccable. He just had a different strategy. King, on one hand, supported integration. Malcolm X supported nationalism, black nationalism. So it's not about them having a difference of opinion on some issues and that being a basis to say that Malcolm X wasn't dedicated to black people. You can't compare yourself to Malcolm X. Malcolm X would never refer to his people as shines, as apes, as monkeys. He would never do such a ridiculous thing. Malcolm X defended black women, unlike you. Malcolm X talked about how black women were the least respected and protected members of society. And he stood up for black women. He stood up in defense of black women, unlike you. So for you to compare yourself to Malcolm X is absurd. Because unlike Malcolm X, you don't love your people. You despise your people. And you express that hatred every video that you produce, in every single video that you put out. And you know this is a fact. You can't even make a video without using the word shine. You can't even make a video without calling your people apes or talking about you Negroes this, you Negroes that. You don't love black people. So this is not a question of monolithic thought. This is not the situation of a debate between Booker T and W.E.B. Du Bois. Both of those men have different tactics, but they both loved and fought for their people in different ways. Even though Booker T. Washington had views that I don't support, that brother loved his people. That brother built things for his people. He built a school, Tuskegee Institute, an institution that stands today. He was concerned about the plight of his people. He fought to improve the plight of his people. And even when he made certain statements publicly, he supported movements that were for civil rights privately. So again, you have another example of a brother who loved his people. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, we all don't have to agree on tactics, but we have to be in line with one another. Each chess piece has different capabilities and a different role in the game. But they need to be in the game together if we are to win as a people. The thing is, you have these turncoats, these damn snitches, these infiltrators who take information from the people and run and tell the slave master. These damn agents who fight against their own people. They're not on the same team. They're trying to undermine what we're doing as a people. And they need to be called the hell out every time. They need to be taken out. And that's why I declare war. That's why I declare war. I can't sit back and let these clowns espouse their views without challenging them. And these people want to say, they put out these controversial opinions, and then they have the audacity to whine about people challenging their viewpoints. This is a public forum. If you put out controversial opinions, you should have the courage or the balls to defend those positions instead of running behind slogans that are inapplicable to the situation. You're going to quote a great man, a great black historian. knowing that that historian would call you a damn sellout too. Just because that's what you are. An enemy of the people, a damn sellout. Now, your point about bringing dirt on people and raising dirt on people to discredit them and attack them, I understand that point. I don't agree with digging up background information on people and putting it out there to attack them. I believe in dealing with the issues at hand, attacking the issues that are being raised. But I find it odd that somebody like you would have the nerve to complain about people digging up background information on you, when that's exactly what you do all the time. You don't do it on YouTubers, but you do it towards black people in general, to demonize black people and to justify the brutality of these white racist cops. Every time you use it to call victims of police brutality thugs and criminals. Thugs and criminals. You called Trayvon Martin a thug, but I don't hear you saying a damn word about George Zimmerman, a man who's been arrested multiple times for multiple physical altercations with people, for pulling guns on people, for acting like a damn fool. But you don't have nothing to say about that because, again, you are Uncle Tom. Because, again, you're a sellout and you're a traitor. But, yeah, you don't have any problem with digging up dirt or putting out information about Trayvon Martin or Freddie Gray or any other black person that's killed by these stinking police. You really don't. Now, I just want to take a couple of seconds to deal with Kwesi. Just a couple of points that he raised. One thing is this: he questioned my sincerity. He talked about how someone's opinion on YouTube is not the real issue and that action should be taken as opposed to just talking about something on YouTube. And I agree. I agree to a certain degree. These YouTube videos are not that important in the big scheme of things. There are larger issues at hand, but talking about issues is important as well. Words do have power. They have the power to motivate action. All actions start with thoughts. So thoughts are very important, and thoughts are expressed through words. The power of the word cannot be underestimated. Words motivate revolutions. Words motivate movements. Words motivate the people. So words do matter. So the ideas that are put out definitely matter. And they should be, issues of the day should be discussed and debated. And it's just weak for somebody to put out videos and then complain about people challenging their opinions. It's just weak. And to, constantly label people as effeminate for debating, for challenging ridiculous, misogynistic, and self-hating videos. They're somehow effeminate. That's ridiculous. That's silly. And basically it's an insult to women. I'll tell you, these people are something else. It's like every negative trait they kind of attribute it to women-like characteristics. These guys are hilarious, man. Wow. What more can you say? And then this guy tried to justify his use of a lot of derogatory terms towards his own people. by saying, well, you don't complain about people using the N-word. Number one, I've done videos before talking about the N-word and talking about like how we shouldn't use the word. But we have to understand intent is important as well. Many of our people, when they're using the N-word, they don't mean to attack their people. They don't mean to degrade their people. They use it in a different context. But every time people like you use that word monkey and ape and you Negroes and shines, you don't use that as no damn term of endearment. You use it as a term to degrade, and you know it. So that's it. I spent way too much time talking about these clowns. They can't mess with me. They're not on my level. And these guys are a joke, man. They're like Laurel and Hardy. And before I go, I just want to make one other point about action. I'm not just about making YouTube videos. I've dedicated my life to my people. My job is to fight for my people. I fight discrimination as a lawyer. I use the law to bring about social change. And I have marched in the streets. I have faced police. I have talked to police chiefs about discrimination against African American people. I've been involved in the struggle since I was in college, and I continue to be involved in the struggle. This whole question about me going after certain websites, this is my response. Unlike you, I'm not a porn connoisseur. That has not been my focus, going after some porn sites. But I have gone after another racist site called Chimp Mania, a site that uses the same kind of racist language that you use about your own people. They refer to African Americans as monkeys, as chimps. They use the same terminology as you. You can't question my sincerity. I've put in that work for my people.